All right, good evening, Christian Life. It's good to gather with you together once again here doing a Wednesday night Bible study. And tonight, I really just feel like going through a story that many of us are really familiar with, but it's one that I think is really good and important to keep refreshed inside of our mind. And so we're just going to go ahead to Luke chapter 15, verse 11, and we're just going to go through the story of the prodigal son. Picking up in verse 11 of Luke 15, it says this, "And he said, there was a man who had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of property that is coming to me.' And he divided his property between them. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took a journey into a far country. And there he squandered his property in reckless living. And when he had spent everything, a severe famine arose in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his fields to feed pigs. And he was longing to be fed with the pods that the pigs ate, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, 'How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants.' And he arose and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Bring quickly the best robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet. And bring the fattened calf, and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead, and is alive again. He was lost, and is found. And they began to celebrate. Now his older son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said to him, Your brother has come out, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound. But he was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him, but he answered his father, Look, these many years I have served you, and I never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him. And he said to him, Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for this your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found." So as we go through this story, there's really 3 perspectives from the 3 different people that are mentioned inside of this story. First off, we have the father. And the father is an obvious representation of who Jesus is inside of our life. And I love watching the way that he interacts with both of the sons in the story. The first son that's mentioned is the youngest son, and basically as the story went, he went and asked his father for his share of his inheritance that he could have. Basically what his son was saying to the father was this, you are as good as dead to me. The only value that you have is the money you can give me now. He didn't want to wait until his father died to get what he wanted. He wanted it all now, and went off and lived in another country, and he blew it all right away. He was blowing it on wild living and all the things that come with that sort of life until he had absolutely squandered it all, and he didn't have a penny left. He got to the point where he went and he found somebody he could work for, and he was feeding the pigs, and he was so hungry that he would even desire to eat one of the pods that the pigs were eating, but he wasn't even able to get that. And we get this dramatic story of the boy who had it all and absolutely lost it. And the position he found himself in of absolute devastation, blowing it all and having no hope for his life. There are many people inside of our church, whether that be our Teen Challenge guys, whether that be other people inside of our congregation, we have been in that place before of absolutely wrecking our life to the point where we have nothing, and getting to the place of, man, I am willing to do whatever it takes to find a way out of this, because there is absolutely no options down this path that I've chosen, and it doesn't matter what it takes, I'll do it. And so the boy goes back home to his father, rehearsing exactly what he's going to say when he gets there. And the amazing thing of this story is the father gets the news from afar off that his son is returning home. And you picture this old man getting ready to go, and he's got his robe on and his sandals on his feet, and I'm trying to picture him sprinting down to go and meet his son. And I'm going to be honest with you, that's a pretty funny picture, because he probably didn't spend a whole lot of time running, but this was so important to him that he wanted to meet his son right away. His son barely had any opportunity to get any words out of his mouth before his father comes and embraces him, loves him, forgives him, and welcomes him home. And not only that, he throws this entire celebration to honor the fact that his son is safe and sound. And we get this beautiful picture there of salvation and how God and his angels celebrate when every one of us makes the decision to turn to him. He is so overjoyed and excited that you have chose him over what the world had to offer, and he is there to celebrate with you, and he is overjoyed. And this is the part of the story where it gets interesting, and it's the part where we honestly don't spend much time talking about, because you have the older brother who's kind of off doing his own thing that day, and all of a sudden he's hearing the party, he's hearing the news that something big is happening, so he goes and he finds his father, and he says, "Father, what does all of this mean?" And he finds out that his younger son is home, and his father welcomed him back, and he went and slaughtered the fattened calf to throw a big celebration. And all of a sudden, the older brother begins to be consumed with jealousy, and he's like, "Well, what about me, Dad? Did I not serve you faithfully all my life? And this son of yours, this other guy over here, this guy who's supposed to be my brother, he blew all that you had, and I've been faithful to you. I don't even get a goat." And he starts comparing and really feeling down on himself and getting angry and bitter and wants absolutely nothing to do with this celebration. Isn't overjoyed that his brother is safe and sound. His attention immediately goes, "Well, what should I get because of everything that I've done right?" And his father said this, "Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for this brother of yours was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found." And he meets his other son in that moment and tries to change his perspective to, okay, listen, all that I have is yours. You are going to get what you deserve. I love you and I'm going to bless you. But right now we have to also celebrate because this other son of mine is now safe too. And so we get this crazy picture of what this life is, and sometimes we can find ourselves on either side of that coin. Sometimes we find ourselves as the brother who has been completely humbled by bad decisions, and we come to Jesus with absolutely nothing but our life to offer. And sometimes we find ourselves as that older brother who sometimes it feels like we are stuck in this cycle of religion where I'm doing all the right things and I'm being obedient, but yet inside of my heart I see somebody else get blessed, and then I'm like, well, man, they didn't deserve that. I deserve that. And even though religiously we do the right things, sometimes in our hearts we can harbor something that's not good, and it tears us down. And it not only tears us down, but man, it can divide families, it can divide friendships, it can divide churches when we begin to get separated by putting ourselves at the center of our life and thinking we deserve something special, when really we should be overjoyed that one other person is getting life change, that the Lord is blessing them. We should celebrate with them and come together in unity and in peace. And so I hope you guys enjoyed having a second to dive a little bit deeper into this scripture. I bless all of you, and I look forward to seeing you later on this week. Have a great week.